Hi, Disruptors, Carrie here, and welcome to another episode where we are digging into what our bodies need, what our mind needs, and how we can do this forever. I am on a mission to disrupt everything the diet industry has us believing about what we need to be doing for our body and how we can actually show up for ourselves in a way that is going to make a difference. I always say, it's just crazy to me because I always say we weren't put on this earth to find the right diet. But so many of us live like that was our sole purpose. I think about what the diet industry has honestly done to us, especially women, and it just makes me so frustrated because this isn't about eat this, don't eat that. This is about like a full-on manipulation for us believing that we are no good, that we have no willpower, that we can't stick with anything. How many of you have said, I've just tried everything and nothing works, or it used to work and nothing works anymore, as if like literally all of our options have already been put out on the table for us. When in all reality, it's like we've been manipulated into believing that we have to put ourselves at a deficit. I always say, since when is a deficit ever a good thing? What thrives in a deficit? Nothing. But somehow the entire industry has us believing that if we put ourselves at a deficit, if we restrict, we're going to thrive. Now, the problem is there's always like, I call it truthiness in everything that the diet industry teaches. Everything has a little bit of truth in it. And it's almost like they take that little bit of truth and explode it into a new diet, right? So even just think about carbs, for example. Carbs are bad. We have to have keto. Carbs make you gain weight. Carbs, I can't have carbs. I have to eliminate carbs. I'm trying to go low carb or no carb, as if carbs are the enemy. Now, we know the truth about carbs. It's science. How our bodies work is science. We need carbs. Carbs fuel our brain. They give us energy. We need them. And they also spike our blood sugar. They also can wreak havoc when we spike our blood sugar because we do something called glycate. And when that happens, yes, we will store fat. Yes, we will actually do a whole lot of things that cause damage to our body. So is the answer just no carbs? No. You cannot eliminate an entire macronutrient. There's only three: proteins, fats, and carbs. But truthiness prevails, and the diet industry has us believing that that's what we need to do. We know that about low fat. If you were a child of the 80s or 90s and everything was low fat and then everybody started gaining weight, well, you can't get rid of an entire macronutrient. We need fat. Fat actually cushions our organs. It helps us digest slower. It gives us, it fuels our brain. Like we need fat actually to release fat. It's like, okay. Anyway, protein is a whole nother thing, right? When it comes to complete protein, incomplete protein, you go plant-based and you can get all your protein in plant-based. Like there's truthiness to all of that, but it gets blown up. And then what you end up doing is say, okay, I heard this, so now I got to go do this diet. I heard that, so now I got to go do that diet. And you actually take that little bit of truthiness, act as if it's true, and then go and implement it. And then we're like, why didn't that work? Well, because we just keep throwing spaghetti at the wall, really taking bits and pieces of these pieces of truth and thinking that they are actual truth. They're not. Because let's be honest, the diet industry does not have our best interest at heart. I think about this, like, you know the phrase that different sheep in wolf's clothing? Is that what it is? It's the same wolf in different sheep's clothing. I always mess that up. So you've got all these sheep, different clothing but inside is the same wolf. And that's what the diet industry is. It looks like we're trying different things, but in all reality, we're not. And as a result, our body has to keep compensating for the lack of food, the blood sugar roller coaster, the deprivation, the inconsistency, all of that. And when you end up quote unquote cheating on your diet, just cheating just think about our language, cheating on our diet, then clearly we're bad, right? And if food is good or bad, if you've ever said, I ate bad today, then you feel bad about yourself. The diet industry has done that on purpose because they know that if you can rely on them to keep coming back time and time and time again, they're going to keep making more money. If I had a client that went to Weight Watchers 17 times, and I'm like, well, at what point are we going to decide this doesn't actually work? Because our definition of working is, well, I lose a little bit of weight. Well, that's not actually the litmus test of something quote unquote working. Your body needs to be thriving in every single way. And you have to get through an obsession around your body and food. We have to be able to be in control. We have to be able to show up for ourselves. We have to stay consistent. And the diet industry has us believing that we can do a 7-day cleanse, that we can do a 30-day challenge, that we can do these things in short bits of time and then go back to this other way of living. Because you cannot do a diet when you're on vacation, when you're in chaos, when you're happy. Like, unless your life is like this and you're super motivated and frustrated enough to do this thing perfectly, well, then the diet will quote unquote work for you. Okay. Well, we know that, especially at Disruptive Nutrition, we are all about teaching the concept of how to fuel your body. Our body is a refuel as you go machine. That is what we know. We are all about blood sugar stabilization. It is our body's love language. And when we truly understand how to balance our blood sugar and eat in the way that we teach, this is never about food being good or bad. Food serves our body and food serves our soul. And we just have to be able to understand that and listen to our body when it tells us certain things. We have to be able to adjust, accommodate, and be flexible with whatever life throws at us. And that's what we teach. But here's the thing. I've always said, I will never give a woman just a meal plan because I can show you how to eat in a way that I eat, but that's not going to match your life. I need to educate you on what your body really needs because all of us are actually foundationally, physiologically the same. Now there's nuances and there's tweaks and all of that kind of stuff, but at its core, our body's blood sugar needs to be stabilized, whether you're 2 or 92. I can show you that. And when your body is balanced, it's amazing how your cravings go away. Suddenly your willpower doesn't feel like it's so hard. Even depression, anxiety, stress, sleep, all of that seems to improve because your body is finally in physiological homeostasis, which means you're balanced. And it's a powerful thing. And yeah, you can actually still be balanced and eat ice cream. All of that is true. But here's what I learned. After years of teaching women this, it was so crazy because they weren't sticking with it. Well, why not? If I was teaching them the last nutritional advice they would ever need, why is it that they weren't sticking with it? They all told me this is what they want. They really want to do something forever. Well, there's a couple of things, and that's what we're going to dig into today. The psychology around why it is that we don't actually stick to stuff, even if we know what's right. Have you ever said, I know what to do, I just don't do it? That's what we're going to dig into today. So if you're watching me live, I stream live at our show on our Diet Disruptors Squad Facebook group. If you're not in there, you got to go join. It's a great community. My coaches live in there. I live in there. We communicate with you in all different ways. You could also be on our Disruptive Nutrition Facebook page or our YouTube channel and watch it all on video. Or you can be in our podcast. Our podcast is Diet Disruptor Squad. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. And so if you're watching this live with us right now, I want you to say me in the comments, or if you're watching this on replay, if you have ever said, I know what to do, I just don't do it. Well, we're going to dig into 3 different things as to why that is. And I am all about science for your body, but also science for your brain. Remember, I was a behavior specialist, and that's one of the things that I think really sets us apart from anybody else out there. You're not going to find very many people that literally have the experience I have with an eating disorder and really digging into my beliefs about myself being in the scale for too many years. But really a behavior specialist that for more than 20 years, I analyzed, worked with, and really attacked in some ways the science of behavior and dug into that in addition to being a certified nutritionist. So if you don't have both, you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall because one without the other is never gonna work. So you need to have our behavior, our mindset, our thinking dealt with in conjunction to understanding what our body needs. I know a lot of dietitians, nutritionists, even doctors are going to be like, here, subscribe to this way of eating. And even if it was based in blood sugar stabilization and based in what we teach, it still wouldn't work because you're not actually integrating it into your life and really digging into your thinking. Now, there's also life coaches, mindset coaches, and they deal a lot with disordered eating, but they don't teach you how to eat. So you're stuck with dealing with your mindset stuff, but actually not knowing how to fuel your body. And if we don't know how to fuel our body, a lot of our anxiety, our depression, our willpower is because we're not fueling our body correctly. So you got to have both. So we're going to dig into 3 things today around why it is that we say, I know what to do, I just don't do it. Okay. The first one is around what I call the cycle of self-sabotage. So our brain is wired to want to be comfortable. That's just what it is. It likes comfort. And as I get older, I want that more and more. Like if I cannot stand a cold, rainy, like misty, rainy day where it's like you're out there and it's not really rainy, but it's like that hard kind of misty rain and you're cold and my husband and I always joke, we're like, we run through that and I'm like, I hate being uncomfortable. And it really is true. I hate that. Well, our brain actually hates being uncomfortable. It also doesn't really like anything that's kind of new or any like I shouldn't say that. It doesn't like anything that's new. It doesn't like anything unfamiliar, but it loves new. Okay? So I'm going to say that again. Your brain doesn't like unfamiliar and it really loves new. Now, how can that be true? If your brain doesn't like unfamiliar, how can it like new? Well, let me share. So if you are, our brain is wired in this way where it's like, okay, you make a change when you are just really like, I can't do this anymore. I am so down and out. I'm so frustrated. I'm so done. I need to do something different. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? You've hit a bottom and you're like, I need to make a change. So you decide to make a change. And we see this with clients all the time. They make a change and they start to feel better. They maybe implement a workout routine. They eat in the way that we teach around balancing your blood sugar. Anything that they're doing, even maybe just saying, okay, I'm going to do a morning routine. I'm going to walk in the morning. Even 1% change. And you start to feel better. Maybe you're even taking vitamins. I don't know, something. You start to feel a little bit better. Even if it's good, even if you start to feel better, your brain recognizes that as unfamiliar. Whoa, hang on a second. I don't really know if I like this. And slowly but surely, your brain starts to say, yeah, this feels uncomfortable. And it unconsciously wants to go back to what was comfortable, what you did before that was not serving you, but was comfortable. And before you know it, you start to go back into those habits that were not actually serving you because you missed the signs. Right when that starts to happen, right when you start to feel good, your brain is going to start to trigger in and say, wait, good feels different. Good feels unfamiliar. And you won't even realize it's happening until all of a sudden you're back in the self-sabotage. So what can you be doing? Look, self-awareness is health. Self-awareness is key. I would say self-consciousness is a disease, but it's self-awareness. If you just know this, you're going to be more aware when it comes. All right. But now I also said, but your brain also loves new. Wait, what? So it doesn't really like unfamiliar, but it likes new. Well, yes. Because we get a hit of dopamine anytime. Think about this. You're searching online, you see this cute little outfit, and you're like, oh, I gotta have that. And then you get it and you're like so excited. But after you get it, you realize it's not new anymore. I don't really love it so much anymore. And that newness and that excitement kind of fades away. You get an Amazon delivery and you're like, oh my gosh, yay. And then you open it and then like the excitement kind of drops because you've seen it and you're moving on. Our brain loves new. So while I will absolutely 100% confidently tell you that the way that we teach women and subsequently their families how to serve their bodies, how to live a sustainable lifestyle, how to do something that's simple and satisfying, if it's not new, you're going to start looking for something else. It's just our nature. So one of the things that I make sure I do, and if any of my members here, our clients are, because our clients are lifetime members, if you're here listening, this is why we do so many different things in our membership group. We do book studies, guest coaches every month. We release brand new recipes every single month. We do fun activities like, I don't know, like a shake challenge, a time management challenge. We do fun giveaways because I got to keep it new for you. And if I don't do something like that, believe it or not, you're going to start scrolling the TikTok or the Facebook and look for something new. Not because you really want to, not because you need to, but because your brain looks for new. It gets like that dopamine hit when it does it. Again, self-awareness. Oh, I know my brain needs new. So how can you replace that behavior by doing something new while still living the lifestyle that we teach? You can do that in a variety of ways. Find a new workout, find a new like coffee or tea that you love, get some new workout clothes, find a way to incorporate new, but keeping the solid there, that solid foundation. Okay, so that's the first thing. Your brain doesn't like to be uncomfortable, and unfamiliar or not being new anymore is uncomfortable, and it will lead you to self-sabotage. Okay, number 2, your amygdala. You all have an amygdala. So if you feel like, okay, if you've ever had like you're emotional, right? And you just are like, I need the chocolate cake, I need the popcorn, and you go through a binge eating session. You feel totally justified in the moment. And then right after you feel completely guilty and you're like, why did I do that? Well, I'm going to help you understand 2 parts of your brain, the amygdala and your hippocampus. Okay. So your amygdala first. Your amygdala is like, it's known as your brain's guard dog. It's kind of like a protector for you. It's a small almond-shaped structure that's deep inside your brain. It's where the seat of your fear system lies. It involves in all emotional aspects and processing. Fear and excitement, we say this all the time, fear and excitement live in the same side of the brain. That's in your amygdala. Okay, it is like the emotional center of your brain, but it's tiny, which is good because if we just like, we need it to be tiny because we can't like live by our emotions all the time. We need a tiny little part, right? Well, now you got your hippocampus. Your hippocampus is like the Wikipedia. It's like the knowledge center of your brain. Think about all the knowledge that you've accumulated. The hippocampus is like that data bank of all the things your brain has learned over the years, okay? Your hippocampus helps you to make sense of the world around you. So you've got your hippocampus, you've got your amygdala. You ready? So this is clear. If you've ever said, I know what to do, I just don't do it, it's your amygdala. Well, we just talked about the self-sabotage stuff, right? There's that, but you're in the moment, emotionally eating in response to stress. If you're angry, if you're frustrated, if you're happy, if you make any reactions and make decisions like binge eating, or if you've ever been really mad and you go and you just start like screaming at your husband or screaming at your kids, and later you're like, oh my gosh, why did I get so mad? Your amygdala was hijacked. Okay? What does that mean? Well, your amygdala is designed to react in less than a second at the sign of a perceived social or physical threat. So when your body, when your brain perceives that there is a threat, it is going to react. But notice I said perceived. It doesn't know the difference between you getting attacked by bears versus you feeling so emotionally driven to eat a chocolate cake. It doesn't know the difference. The amygdala literally gets bigger in your brain in either of those scenarios. Okay? Think about this. Some people are totally fine in traffic. Other people get really mad in traffic. It's your perceived analysis of the situation. Not everybody's amygdala reacts the same way. So that concept is super, super important here because every one of us has our own perceived beliefs about what is safe and what is not. So you cannot compare the way that you react to the way somebody else reacts because you both perceive the world different. All right, so let's talk about this amygdala. It actually gets bigger when you have this perceived threat. So no matter what your hippocampus knows about the situation, I know I shouldn't be eating this chocolate cake right now, or I know I shouldn't be getting so mad at my husband just because he didn't take the garbage out, right? But if your amygdala takes over, rational thinking goes out the window. So your brain actually bypasses your typical method of processing information because it typically goes through the hippocampus, which is like, okay, I know what to do. And then the amygdala doesn't get a say because you know what to do and your emotions don't take over. But once your amygdala gets bigger, your amygdala then gets this like VIP pass right past the hippocampus. It's like, get out of my way, hippocampus. I'm in charge now. And goes right to your actions. We call it an amygdala hijack. So if you've ever heard of the concept of like fight, flight, or freeze, right? That's what this is. It's like a guard dog that starts barking. And when that happens, think about your guard dog goes off. It's just barking, 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 barking. Your rational thinking disappears. Your emotions take over. And that's when we make decisions that don't serve us. We give into impulsive emotions because our amygdala is hijacked. We can totally justify that behavior. But then afterwards, we feel guilty. We wonder, what's wrong? What's wrong with us? Well, our amygdala went right back to normal size and our ever rational hippocampus takes over again. And now we're just like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Your amygdala was hijacked. And so just knowing that language, that level of self-awareness is huge when it comes to being able to do something about it. What activates your amygdala? Well, for everybody, it's going to be different. You have to start to recognize what some of those triggers could be. And that is key to really understanding yourself. I know what to do, I just don't do it. So first, we talked about self-sabotage, right? Your brain doesn't like the unfamiliar. So even if you're making changes that are good, it wants to go back to its old ways, but it also really likes new things, getting that dopamine hit. And so you're going to be tempted to go and try something new. That's one. Two, your brain gets hijacked by its amygdala, and then all rational thought goes out until the amygdala shrinks down to normal, and then guilt sets in. So what can we do to be able to prevent these things? And this is the third part of this. It's like solutions now, right? Self-awareness is key. Self-awareness is key for everything. If you're not aware of it, you can't do anything about it. We actually have something with our members that we call the consistency calibrator, because this is not about being perfect ever. It is about being consistent. The relationship between you and your body requires consistency over time, just like any other relationship. So we want to have positive interactions consistently over time. So if we introduce our consistency calibrator, it's self-awareness, then taking time to reflect, then making a change, and then integrating it truly into your life, but then going right back again to self-assess, then reflect, make a change, integrate it in. And we literally do that every single day. Just because you learn about amygdala hijack doesn't mean you're going to be able to deal with it if every single day you're not self-assessing. Oh my gosh, having self-awareness, then reflection, making a change, and then finding a way to make sure it integrates into your life. But that cycle has to be every single day. Okay, so What can we be doing? The third part of this, what can we really be doing to handle this kind of stuff? Well, really truly that self-awareness is the first key. But part of that self-awareness to reflection is identifying what sets you off. So in that moment of unfamiliarity, when you're doing something different, when you're looking for something new, or when your amygdala is getting bigger, what is typically that trigger that's doing that? And this is going to require some reflection and some analysis. You can observe, you can journal, start to notice. And remember, no guilt. This is just data. Then I want you to think through situations in advance to start to train yourself on how to respond. So I call it vision casting. So vision casting, your brain kind of taking that unfamiliar route and wanting to self-sabotage because it wants to go back to comfortable. Vision cast that need for something new and just recognize where that is. Vision cast your amygdala going off and create an early warning system for yourself. Maybe it's a partner that you're talking to. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's you in morning time reflecting on your day before. But also, what happens in your body, especially for an amygdala hijack, your body's reacting in a certain way. I know when I get really mad and my amygdala gets hijacked, I can feel a physical sensation in my belly. And what I've been able to do is once I actually recognize that feeling and feel it again, I'm like, oh, amygdala is getting bigger and getting myself to a better place. And then we do something called snap. So put in the comments, snap, if you're with me here. And I love this strategy for all of these issues because at any given time, we can snap. In fact, we eat what's called PFC every 3, protein, fat, and carb every 3 hours, because that's what's going to keep our blood sugar stabilized, give us the nutrients we need, put us in that physiological homeostasis. And so I like to say we could be snapping every 3 as well. So when we PFC 3, we also snap 3. So it's just a good practice to snap every 3, but also you want to be able to do it in the moment when you're self-aware enough to realize something's going on with me right now. So what is snap? Stop. Stop. Just stop what you're doing and take a second to notice. Notice what your body is feeling right now. Notice what you're doing. Notice what's going on around you. And then ask. Ask yourself, what am I doing right now? Why am I doing it? Is this true? Do I really need to be emotionally eating right now? What's triggering me from emotionally eating? Asking yourself some questions like you would your best friend that's in the middle of a thing. And then pivot. Excuse me, pivot that thought, pivot that behavior, and say to yourself, I don't have to stop what I'm doing forever, but I'm going to pivot that behavior just for this moment. What if that wasn't true? What if there was another way to look at this? What if I just didn't eat the cake right now? I could save it for later. Just pivot it for that moment. And that's usually enough to trigger your amygdala to actually decrease, for your mind not to self-sabotage in the moment that it feels unfamiliar or that you want something new. Snapping is such an incredible strategy that we work on with our clients all the time. And so I want you to use it in a way that allows you to get your consistency calibrator. Self-aware, be self-aware, reflect, change, integrate. And so if you do that cycle every single day and integrate snap into that, that's going to give you the chance to be able to gain so much more clarity on why you do what you do. You can start to become a behavior specialist within yourself a little bit more. So I hope that this gives you some skill set, some strategies. Please comment what you're taking from this, what you're learning from this, and how you're going to be integrating this into your life with some of the things, the patterns that you've seen come from your experiences, because I know we've all had this. And I'd love for you to really be recognizing just how important this missing piece is and why that diet industry will never teach us that. Because if you really start to get into these pieces, you don't ever go back to all of that nonsense that you've been doing for years, and you actually get to live your purpose instead of living like your purpose was to find the right diet. The diets aren't going to give you the solutions. You have them inside. We just got to help bring it out in you. I hope that this was helpful. Comment below on what you got. And remember, snap that amygdala hijack away. Thanks.